Hi, John. Welcome to Movie Junk. How are you?
I'm doing good. Nice to see you, Zia.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, John, for making the time. And what an honor it is to welcome veteran actor John Savage, who fans know from some all-time hit classic films like The Deer Hunter, Godfather 3, Salvador, Thin Red Line, so many more exciting projects. And with over 50 years of film experience and well over 200 credits to your name, I can't thank you enough for joining us today, John.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's an honor.
And I've had the privilege of just meeting you this past weekend, and so excited for being able to set this up. And I want to jump into all of your exciting projects, and I don't want to do our fans a disservice without starting all the way back in the beginning and just getting a sense of what got you started in the business, and basically how it all started for you.
Well, when I was a kid, I was sickly, was premature, too small, couldn't breathe well. And My mom played a lot of music because I was in an oxygen tent, or then I had polio, iron lung. But I was so involved with just listening to beautiful music. She'd play a lot of the classic pop singers, all the Italians, Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, and classical opera, and just beautiful music. And my grandma played the piano in church. For a while, she was a keyboard player, and then we went on to more great organ churches and stuff. But the music was something that made my day. And reading, I started to read really young because I was pretty much laid up a lot. So I learned how to read really young. I was helped to read very young. So I started reading books that were maybe above my age and really enjoyed them, novels and some psychological books my mother had laying around. And Emerson, Ralph Waldo Emerson, I found passages that stayed with me for years. I go back. I still have my father's copy. And but school and I was shy. And then around the preteen years, I was singing in church a lot and getting recognized, and also very early school years asked to sing, like, to punish me, sing the national anthem for not doing homework or whatever. So I got help from people, to sing in choir, or then finally I was a preteen and get a little sort of training with the Italian couple that were just great. I loved it. It was so calm, and it was all about relaxing. And even talking to people made me tense, still does. But the exercising and vocal stuff helped me, a lot. And a few years later, they had me singing with their little trio in the Americana Hotel nightclub,
Wow.
and just a little bit of nightclub, just the pop tunes that they'd worked with me, and operas they'd helped me learn and how to just relax, you know, and open up. And I wish that I could go back and do that more, because I really got in my, my growing. I kind of got more uptight about uh, just my physical thing. Exercise helps a lot,
Definitely.
and meditating, and sobriety. Um, just doing those things to try to relax my throat, my voice, my being. So that started when I was young, thank God, and now that I'm getting older, I appreciate it more.
Yeah.
Things change, I don't have as much driven kind of energy with demands for things to do. I've done wonderful plays, and I was on Broadway in Fiddler on the Roof as a very young man, and with Zero Mostel and in the chorus. And then I had been doing plays, and my parents were very supportive. I got noted in school for some of the things, and then I got in some plays when I was young, in Brooklyn, and one play. And later on, I met Al Pacino, who was doing a play in the same theater.
Wow.
And it's just been wonderful. Every time we see him, it's like I know him. We know each other from way back. And he's always nice. Same thing with a lot of other great actors. Robert De Niro put me in Deer Hunter when he saw American Buffalo,
Yep.
which is more recent.
Yeah.
But back there with Zero Mostel and be getting a role finally in the musical, from chorus to playing Fiedka. Uh, I just have had these moments, like even in the movie Hair, uh, but just everybody in the film. We were all young. Um God bless us. It was and doing the version that Milos chose, and I chose to tell him I didn't want to play a hippie, and because he saw American Buffalo, and he says, let's go tomorrow and have a beer or something, and you can come to the auditions if you want, watch some of the people. I said, okay, but I was mixed up about that because I really felt a part of the '60s and the changes and uh, the issue of question mark about students that were participating in demonstrations. And then I didn't go to college, but someone I really respected, he was in that more of the a successful student crowd. And I loved some of the fun that I got to experience with people in school. I wasn't really part of their crowd, but, and, sports too. I like playing sports, but I was no great athlete. But the Jeff Miller was shot and killed at Kent State, like my first year of marriage as a young guy. And I got so mad. I was so upset. I had to take the ferry to work or to school and then work where I was going to the American Academy. And then I'd go and work in a bar or maybe an off-Broadway show. And I had kids really young. I might call my dad, who'd served in the Marine Corps. And he was I saw the '50s, how things changed
Yeah.
from the social acceptance of, more community development going on around me. What is that? Oh, that's where a house is going to be. I come back, well, the field turned into 100,000 houses, Levittown, all these little houses. And I was little, but I started to really observe and sense, the effort of men, not necessarily talking a lot, but that contact coming together, making a point of going to my mom would go, oh, we have to go visit those people in that other community. And we have to go to that temple that family that goes to. They have a beautiful kids, so we got to visit them. They're having a picnic, or we just go visit them at the park picnic. And an African American community. We started, my dad was a little more reserved, but he was totally open. He's the only survivor in his squad. Big guy, 6'9" or 10 when
Your
he was
dad
young.
was 6'9", 6'10"?
Yeah, basketball guy, big basketball hands.
Wow.
I took after my mother.
Six
But
nine.
that sense of support between wives and men who served, it was
Mhm.
almost like men didn't talk a lot. And there was times like my father and I saw other men quiet and the women more in charge of talking. And I was young. And I would, when we had the little house in Levittown, I wanted to hear what they were talking about, but I could never hear the men in a group. They never really seemed to say anything. And chances are they didn't around, other people, because they all had this moment of contact where, like my dad had put his hand out,
Mm.
big hand would go out, and he'd say something that I couldn't hear. Basically, I think was, did you serve? You know, and that brought people together no matter what. People had experiences, First World War, Second World War, Depression. So there was an energy going on, you know, in the Northeast. I heard things maybe going differently in the South and other places, or even in New York, though, actually, there was extremism in some ways during the Underground Railroad stuff. And we heard little bits of stuff more as we got older.
Mhm.
But the essence of going into like a dramatic, an essence of stories or energy and reading and listening to people talking about, their personal, my mom's tiny hand on his shoulder with his head down with a hand and with a holding a drink. and he was a long body, big guy. But he would have this moment where he'd like grunt or, and his dad too finally was brought into the house, who was had left. He was in the First World War, so he was kept away from the kids till we got a little bigger because he was a drunk. He was an alcoholic. Um, and he didn't want to live. He didn't when his kids all went in the military, Second World War. My grandpa, he went to live on himself because his beautiful, tall. They were all athletes. My dad's family, big, tall women, very athletic women and men. And my grandma, nobody ever met. She was beautiful, and last kid who was born, she took off with a wealthy man on the North Shore, and they went to Florida. And that was curious. But he was always kind of, when he did come to the house, because he had not wanted to live. And when they all went in the military, he said, "I'm going to leave you the house." And apparently he disappeared. Well, my aunt knew where he was. So my dad brought him to live with us, and he was quiet. And I asked him because my mom did all the talking. My dad and he did. But the essence of service, military service, like at 16, 17, whatever they went in, was young. And I see that a lot my whole life. I'm involved with veterans, met more women now than ever. And the commitment and the time served, and some people not even wanting to come back because it's too confusing now. Like there's some TV shots of Afghanistan, men and women in the service for years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. That's your life. You go into 17, how many years, 10 years or more?
Yeah.
So they've made these commitments, to serve, and you have people that are your translators with families and this and that, and you leave and they're going to die,
Yeah.
And it was like that in Vietnam too. I remember, 5, 6 years of service, and it was a longer recovery coming back. My dad would be in a sense of support, but he never stopped drinking until his last year of life. And he was in control. He learned a lot of sports that he didn't know, golf, and he became a champion. And he was a champion. He was a swimmer. He was
Wow.
a lifeguard, like very young on Jones Beach because he was so big. And
Yeah.
he was a swimmer. But, and he loved sports. And yeah, I loved sports too, but I was like different kind of category. And it's the idea of community and people come together. It was great. I just saw this energy, um, with the big question mark of even the parties when people started. Republicans had the GI Bill, which was great, and um, everybody was a Republican, and but there was a spirit and energy that was going on. Uh, a lot of steps being taken for a community uh, beyond one group. It was definitely, you know, something that people shared. Like my dad grew up playing basketball real young with the African black community, and he got in the Marine Corps, and there was the guys from down south just wanting to shoot with an N word, and he was patient with stuff but sometimes he would stand up, but he never really threatened anybody. And once he asked the guy to stop using language. I was not there. My mother told me. I think it's the table of his friends were sitting together. And the guy was sitting at a bar, and he was real big and using the F word or something and other stuff. And my dad asked him a favor, and the guy clocked him.
Oh.
And he went down on the ground and he started laughing. It's like, okay, we can move. But he didn't mind walking away from something. But he also had experiences of helping police with physical issues and stuff that was going on. He was much bigger than most men, and physically he had power. But the idea of like helping people too. I remember there was a tall African black kid who was bigger than he looked like a man. And my dad was talking to the police and talking to them and the kid had a basketball, big guy. So obviously, my dad saw something potential there or something, and they had a problem. Well, for some reason, him being somewhere he shouldn't have been or something. He said, the idea where he could take care of something, they got it. You know, I'll take care of what he said. I got it, or I'll take care of it.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was taken care of,
yeah,
and it was what I could see he could do. And he was in the car with me, and I was like, okay, I mean, this kid is over 6 feet tall, and I'm about 3 feet tall. But he went and shot baskets, and they included me. And it's just that I got a feeling of this energy with the music I was listening to and being helped with, and
yeah,
stories going on. I wanted to be in that area of life. I didn't really think of it as a business or work, but I wanted to be doing things that told stories or involved the music. I sang in church a lot in the nightclubs and went on to do shows on Broadway. I got a little thrown out of the. I got two wonderful men helped me come to California.
yep.
And the first film I got to do was with Jane Fonda and Donald Sutherland,
Wow.
Steelyard Blues. And that she had seen me in a play in Ann Arbor, Michigan with him. And she said, come be in a movie we're doing. And I didn't, I she said, I'll meet you, you can meet the director. And somebody saw me in the Broadway musical after that, brought me to, these two men brought me to LA. So, and they helped me in my business for a long time. And they've both passed now.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say, when did you make the move? Because you're originally from New York, and it was
Yeah.
when you made the move to LA. So it looks like you've been in LA since the early 70s
Yeah, about that.
there. And
I
then
think it was,
yep.
yeah, it was different, you know, especially because I was pretty much right away, I was introduced to the business,
Mhm.
real famous young people.
Yeah.
Rudy at his house would have people up and have dinners, and I'd meet all kinds of really successful people, the sons and daughters of famous people. And it was a real privilege. Um, and after a while, I think I just got a little overwhelmed. I wanted to work definitely, and they helped me totally.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'd ever had a career without the help of the agents and the managers I started with.
Yeah.
And then I just got a question mark about other things going on and my family and stuff. So I did theater and all over. I went back, and I did films outside of the usual, going to countries. And I was lucky because I was brought back into the business by Robert Duvall
Hmm.
years after just working and going off and doing other things. And I'd had an injury and was hospitalized for a while. I didn't think I'd ever work again, but I was trying to help me stay healthy. And Robert Duvall called me, who I knew when he was doing plays in off Broadway with Dustin and
Yeah.
himself. I met him on one time, and he called me. He says, "Hey, Johnny, I'm coming out there." He says, "I want your wife Susie make some spaghetti." And I had the two little kids, and they came, and he brought a script out. He says, "I want you to look at this." And my Susan and I looked at it, and it's like, "Oh my God, is this real?" Yeah, we Hulu and I were thinking we'd like to bring this. We'd like this to go to Broadway. We're going to do it on Broadway, and we thought maybe you'd like to be in it. Not only did I want to be in it, but I had to leave the room with my wife. Oh, unbelievable, unbelievable! Just change of life,
Amazing.
change of worry. I mean, I've been working hard to bring myself back into physical health and other stuff, and
What year was this?
that's a good question. I think it was 80, maybe seven. No, it was before that.
I
I
think
don't
eight.
remember the late 70s, 80. It was the deer hunter. I mean the American buffalo.
Yeah, yeah. I think
And
80.
from that, I got the Deer Hunter and Hare from that play.
Wow.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah, because
So
yeah, because I was gonna ask, with Robert Duvall, you played his son in Godfather 3.
that was because of him again. I
Yeah.
think, and Francis, I've always wanted to do more work with his productions. Just I feel a sense of humanity a lot in his choices. So I was, very grateful for that. Poor George Hamilton got the part that I was first offered, and I mean they were really, Francis was really working to try to put a good film together and changing the script a lot. George had to go through a lot, just new scripts every day. So I'm glad I didn't get that part in a way. But he was very receptive to suggestions.
But yeah, just jumping with your role in Godfather 3. I mean, you were Tom Hagen's son, and we see you in the Vatican scene when Michael comes to visit. He's trying to finalize the deal, so we see your character there as well too. Was there any
There
additional
was,
scenes
there
that
was
were
no part. I was told that I was going to do a consigliere, but I went anyway because I had another film that I was involved with, and I brought my kids who were young with their friends to go to Europe, and we went to Paris, and then we went to Rome, and we were going up to our rooms in Rome and the Ingleterre Hotel, beautiful area, beautiful square
wow.
Piazza di Spagna, and beautiful room. And we're bringing the bags up, and all of a sudden I hear John, John, and the assistant director that I know is yelling. He's running up the stairs. Don't unpack, don't unpack. Francis wants you to come up there. Yeah, come on, everybody, let's go. He's gathering my kids. He's got the bag. He's downstairs. Get in the van. Get in the van. I checked in. Don't worry, we'll take care of it. You're staying up there.
Wow.
And Francis was in the cocoon, his little room, his little what do they call it? But little thing
Trailer?
that transports trailer.
Trailer? Yeah.
Those little round things.
The
We
pods or
call it
trailer pods?
pods. They call it like a cocoon. He had like all 4 or 5 TVs. He's covered the wall, and he's looking at the different cameras on the wall, and he's not even turning around to see me. John, John, we got to get you in the movie. What do you
This,
want to do?
this is
What?
Francis. This is
Yeah,
Francis.
he's
Wow.
he's doing he's editing. He's doing something, and I just got in the door. The AD pushes me in and closes the door. And I'm standing there. He said, "We got to get you in the movie. What do you think we can do?" And I was like, "Okay, uh, well, we're here. It looks like the Vatican. How about?" He says, "I want you to get into the scene with Al when he comes out with George. After seeing the Pope and talking about stuff. I want you to just surprise him."
Yep.
And hey, I'm a student. Yeah, I'm a student at the Vatican, and I'm really grateful that he got me here, a scholarship or something. Right, right, right. And just make it a quick little moment. Say hi to your uncle, and go downstairs and get a robe and the outfit for the church, for the school. Okay. And I come back and I'm standing next to the camera. I just jumped out in front of them when they came out. Uncle, God bless you. So nice to see you. Thank you
Yep.
so much for the scholarship. I'm doing well. And they both froze. They didn't know I was doing this.
Oh wow. So
George and Al
that
just
was that
stopped.
was wow. That was a
That's
genuine
all the way. That's
reaction.
the only take they took was that one. And I'm
Wow.
staying. And then we start walking again. You know, we start going towards the camera. And he says, "Oh my God." I said, "What's it like in there?" "Oh, it's terrible. It's so much hard work." Uh, and he says, it's just things going on. He's looking at George. George is looking at me. It's like, and I said, the days of the Borgias are over, Uncle. And we went off camera, and yay, that was it. I thought that was going to be it. He
Yeah.
kept me there for months.
Oh
I
wow.
mean, I maybe I didn't, but I did another couple of films while I was there. I think. I did a film. I did another film, but I was so grateful to be in that movie. And
Yeah.
my kids, he put my kids in the party scene with his wonderful daughter. I actually loved her in that movie. It's the sensitivity, just because maybe they're real people, and I thought felt the sense. She has a great ability as a director, that's for sure. But yeah, it was really just a great experience for me.
Yeah.
And that was, Robert Duvall.
No, definitely, definitely. I mean, Godfather 3, I mean, it's, the trilogy of the Godfather films. I mean, these are some of the best films of all time. And I really enjoyed all three films. And they just Francis recently um re-edited and made a Godfather 3, the death of Coda, the death of Michael Corleone. It's like a new version with it's cut with some additional scenes, and it's actually even better than the version that we've always seen.
I got to see that. Because
Yeah, it's
he's always argued that he didn't ever wanted to make any mob movies. He doesn't really want to make mafia movies.
mhm, mhm.
But the point of his being, and you meet people that are maybe connected or this and that, and there's all different kinds of senses of where that's about. I mean, there's the kind of rude people, the guys, and you go to Sicily. But then even you see the other side of the coin is the women.
Yeah,
It's like I see that in a lot of the tribal or the more conservative tribes in South Africa. I spent years there, and some of the Zulu nations, there's many of them, but some of the men, they see the white men come into the room and they give them just a look. And then the wife comes in and smacks him on the back of the head and says, "Come over here, give me a hug. Hey, let's go. What's the matter? You hungry? You wanna eat? You smile. You take this man in, you know." And it was like that in the Sicily with the attitudes with some of the tough guys standing around. The women were so beautifully in poverty areas, really working to get the support that was needed in southern Italy and Sicily for children. And the movie company came in, and everybody's helped him down there when we were at the big opera house. But you saw this energy between him and the people in the area. Uh, he really helped the community down there and rebuilt the whole opera house. Francis, yeah,
yeah. Speaking of Francis' daughter, Sophia Coppola, I mean, I thought
yeah,
she did really, really well. The chemistry with her and Andy Garcia was really, really good.
yeah.
And yeah, definitely. It's the ending is a little bit different with the edited version. I mean, you can just go on Amazon Prime and just see it there. But I highly recommend watching that version and
Terrific.
working on the Deer Hunter, which I always wanted to jump into as well too. I know this was one of your early films, and working with Michael Cimino, Robert De Niro, that famous Russian roulette scene as well too. And I have to make a confession. I actually watched The Deer Hunter for the first time about 15 years ago, so I was a little bit
That,
newer to The Deer
that's
Hunter.
okay. How old are you now?
35.
Well, you all right? You were too young to watch it at that time.
Yeah,
No, I'm only kidding. But
but I'm a
a
little
lot
bit
of
of
young
an
people
old
saw
soul.
it, and a lot of veterans at that seeing that movie. My experience with my father
Hmm.
and other men and friends of his, and I went through this again with the last full measure, which if
Yep.
you haven't seen it, with people who had served in Vietnam and older men, 90 years old, in recovery. I've met so many people who are experienced from several wars, the Korean War, still alive, Second World War, in good shape, sober for years, but just the sense of recovery when they are in the environment of the other vets that are younger. Um, it's not something that we are familiar with absolutely incorporating into our lives.
Yeah.
Is this understanding and mutual recovery that's shared
Yeah.
for what's going on in the news? People really are so far away from what that's about, and so are the people coming back. And if they choose to, which of many years in Vietnam and
Yeah.
even now in Middle East, they don't come back for many reasons. And Afghanistan, wait. They even had some film on TV of a man standing with a family. He says, "I'm not coming back unless they come with me."
Wow.
You know, and that was in Vietnam, the same issue. But more women today in recovery with men. And then now there's parks around the country, and a lot of these young vets who helped with the last full measure, which had that power of the deer hunter, of the connection at home, you know, and gosh, John Cazele, we signed on to finish the film, even though he had cancer,
Yeah.
and no matter what. And then um, Peter Fonda, same thing. He had cancer, was brilliant, a wonderful actress that played his wife as vets, veteran, both of them veterans. You know, it's isolating themselves up in the woods. There's, you know, we don't see a lot. You know, we don't want to see a lot sometimes in our world. And it's like drugs today. Everybody said, "Oh, it's getting better." You're
Is
just getting older, you know.
were you able to bring, some of your kind of like real life experiences with, your father and your grandfather also serving and, with yourself? Were you able to bring sort of some of that? Like, what was the preparation that you needed to do prior
It
to
was
the
everything. It meant
everything,
everything
right?
to me.
Yeah.
Oh, a lot of stuff people go through when you're young,
Hmm.
there's no understanding. There's no clarity. It's not clear. What is that banging in that room? What is that yelling that's going on? My dad fought the enemy when he was trying to sleep. And they had to stay at a distance, you know, because he was big, but he never threatened my mom. She was a threat sometimes, but tiny little woman and very highly educated. Where sometimes, you know, she was, talking a lot, whatever, and very smart. And I was kind of like smart, but I was lazy. So I never could really figure out why go to school. I have a book. What's the point? I want to read. I want to stay home.
Yeah.
But and I had great teachers too. I was lucky. But yeah, the essence of those emotional experiences was in the scripts, you know, of people in service through a written script, you know, a 2 hour movie
Yeah.
that might have been an experience that lasted most of their life, you know.
Because
And so this,
oh, sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
well, it's just the experience of seeing how far, much further those stories go. You know, you're introduced to more of the other elements in those two films that are going to be going on for a long time. Those areas of acceptance to something that will happen again, and it will happen again and again, and more children will supposedly grow up in a uniform if they live,
Yeah.
and then have to grow up out of a uniform after they live through it. And the experiences that we see in our world are insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're living, you know, I mean, if you read even Eckhart Tolle's books, pretty much I think he says that, you know, as far as mental health, just pause, you know, and breathe, and it's just this gift that we have is it's can be very demanding and really, whoa, we need to pause just to calm down. I have to do this. I have to, you know, I get too dramatic. I don't even have a job, but I'm getting dramatic. So it's sometimes I want to play a character that where it's planned out for me, you know.
Yeah, because I read somewhere in that Russian roulette scene that, and maybe you can correct me if this is accurate or not, but the scene where you guys are holding the gun, the you were actually really getting slapped. Was that accurate? Where you guys were actually getting hit? Like I know De Niro, they were saying he was actually getting hit and the reactions were genuine when he was getting upset. Was that true at all, or was that
There was a
not
lot
true?
of different, yeah, it was part of many different interpretations. Oh
Yeah,
my God.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel we might have even changed character, switched positions that are constant, doing more and more and more.
Yeah.
And helicopter, when we were doing the chopper thing,
Was that really
it was
you on the helicopter hanging
in
on?
most of the stuff that I was in it. Yeah.
Oh,
One thing I was not in was the long drop.
the drop. Yeah, yeah.
You see me dropping from the helicopter from a distance.
Yeah.
Actually, I did drop from the helicopter, but they stopped it in one spot. We checked below because I could see I was facing forward. He was facing backwards, but I
Yeah.
could see where there was trees, broken trees or rocks. And more than once, we had a situation where he said he couldn't hold on anymore, and we're going for a drop to go to where we're going to be dropped because
Yeah.
we had gotten under the helicopter and the helicopter takes off, and we had to go to a place to be set up on a beach, which was not possible. So we had to drive. We had to ride way a mile or so away, and he starts yelling at me. I can't hold on. I can't. What? I mean, I kept going like this. Slow down. You know, into the
This is
door. The
Robert De
door is
Niro.
right here. Slow down. This is Robert De Niro's falling. I would yell to the stuntman inside, and
Oh,
Mike Cimino was inside. You've got to slow down. He's falling. He's gonna fall. I'm looking in the water all the time and ahead of us. I'm looking underneath us. I can see every shadow of a tree or a rock underneath him. And I said, when lower, 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 lower. And he says, tell me when. I can't hold. He may have been full of shit. Mike kept saying he's full of shit. Don't believe him. But he wanted to do it, and he didn't feel good. So I found a spot. Okay, I said stop, and he fell. Luckily, it was deep, and we weren't moving fast enough because you see, even when that other stuntman dropped, the helicopter was moving,
yeah.
and your body moves when you drop. So you can't pick a spot. You got to pick a spot way way ahead.
Yeah.
So, but this was okay. But it happened again when we got picked up on the, or before that, when we got picked up on the bridge,
Hmm. Hmm.
because we got stuck once under the log, big 3-ton log. It caught, and we were over a shallow part, and it kept pushing us into the shallow, like sandbar, and uh, we were caught. It was heavy. Chris, had the end of one end, and he was trying to push that end out. But everybody panicked on the small boat with a big beta camera, not a beta camera, big camera on it. And the camera went in the water. People were trying to figure out how to help us, which they couldn't. Like when we kept yelling, can't, we can't get out. And then the water slowly came around where Chris was on that end of the log, and he was pushing, and it helped him move that end out. So the water started pushing the log out a little bit, and we could pull out from underneath it. That was one incident. And somehow they came up with another Panavision camera. And we did it again with the log going down the river. But we get to the bridge, and there's a broken branch. Now, for some reason, it is sticking up from on the log. And we're coming to the bridge, and the bridge on one side is lower than was expected.
Oh,
And the wood is hanging down low, and the log is going right towards the low spot where the branch is sticking up, and it catches the edge, the outside, our side of the bridge, and
wow.
it's pulling the bridge down on one side, and it's stuck there, and the other side the cable is going up, and the helicopter. Chris jumps up on the bridge, even though it's falling down. He's like an athlete or a dancer. Just boom, 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 boom. He was in the
He's tall
helicopter.
too. He's
He was
tall.
just, he's tall, and he's just boom, boom, boom. He's up inside the helicopter. But Robert and I we're on top of the cable trying to get up too. And the bridge, the other cable was high, and that strut on that, and the helicopter went on that side, went under the cable. And boom, we went flying up with the one we were leaning on. Boom, came out of the log, we flew up into the air. The helicopter was caught
Wow.
60, 50, 75 feet. up above with height on that outside cable. The blades of the propeller on the top of the helicopter is going back and forth. Bobby and I are hanging on that other cable, screaming at each other. What do we do? I'm screaming at him and I'm calling him by his character name. I don't know. I'm looking below. I said, there's some rocks down there and there's stuff. What do we do? I don't know. He says, I'm calling him by his name, his character name. What was his name? Michael? I don't remember.
From there too.
Uh,
He's escaping
but
me too.
yeah, don't know. I feel bad now. But I couldn't stop yelling about
It,
just
it was it
his
was
name.
Michael. It was Michael. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And my we gotta drop. We gotta drop that the cable touched that cable. The helicopter touched that cable. And I said, go, go, go. We gotta drop. We couldn't. We were scared. We did drop, and it was actually under the water, an upside down longboat. One of the native boats had sunk there and was upside down. We went in the water and came up underneath that boat, stuck like my legs or wherever he was on one side, and we couldn't see who was who. We came up out of the water and we looked back, and oh, I know his name. Stuntman came out and he was walking on the strut, and slowly the helicopter balanced out, and he went out and he pushed that cable over the edge, and that was it. I know his name, and we were in the water. We could have died, you know. It's happened before in movies
Yeah.
with that kind of shit. It's terrible, and that was it for the filming.
The
No more helicopter stuff.
the chemistry that you guys all had together, and just it's sad, right? You see in the earlier in the movie, because all you guys are childhood friends, right? And it's so conveyed with you guys, and the wedding scene as well. And you guys see that
It
veteran
was a dream.
that comes to the bar, and you guys kind of see like the effects of how cold and silent, and they were sort of looking at their future at that veteran, right? Or at that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was definitely just sad seeing like where they were in the beginning of the film. And because your character had just gotten married too, I believe, right? And where everyone ends up being towards the end, and that scene where after you or the Russian roulette scene where you shoot, you get dumped into the water, and there was actual those are real rats that were in there,
Real
right?
rats, real spiders, real
Oh
tarantulas, real snakes, real whatever.
my
It's
goodness.
Thailand. It's beautiful. We ate it all. We ate them all. They eat everything there.
And I did want to, I mean, is there any, I know we talked a little bit about John Cazale, but any stories you could share? I know that was his last film, because I know he was sick while he was filming, but any exciting stories? I'm assuming you
Oh
were
yeah, he was with he was dating and they were together, Meryl and
Meryl
him,
Streep.
and they were like a mother and father kind of thing to the bunch of to the cast and the boys, the guys critical of us and our. I mean, John would just if he saw anybody with a cigarette, you can't grab that cigarette. You don't know what you're doing, you know. And but then Meryl had a great sense of humor, and the two of them had a great sense of humor. Just really beautiful, and it was really I felt that they were very kind of like a couple, but even when they were apart, I felt their presence as the they didn't go to war, but they were our concerned parents. They
Mhm.
were the people who were brought us home, you
Yeah.
know, and oh, as a young actor, when you have these opportunities, and I guarantee it to every young actor will happen, and you're starting, and you get to play a story with other people that are good actors, good people. it stays with you your whole life. And I got two great movies. I've had others, recently. I've had The Last Full Measure meant everything to me. But in some low budget films, so just a gas, too, in the last couple of months. Or nobody will ever see those, but I had so much fun. But those movies were just that, and just that sense of genius is being created, and you're a part of this love that is just unbelievable. It happens when you're young more, I think. And
I
and
want
then
to,
after,
yeah, I want to ask,
sometimes you get paid too, but that's another story, right?
right? What, nothing wrong with that. And I want to ask so many more questions about the Deer Hunter, but you did mention, and I want to be respectful of your time as well too. But you did mention, all the projects that you've worked on, and being fortunate to work with some extraordinary actors and actresses. But
You haven't heard everything. I guarantee it. You're lucky I don't drink anymore. I wouldn't stop talking,
well,
but I
well,
would.
like I always say to, we're fortunate to have, such extraordinary guests. But like I always say, I always like to leave room for round two. But you got to be careful whenever we have someone come back for round two, they become our regular guest. So, but I did want to ask, is there still some? I mean, you've worked with Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, Robert Duvall, John Cazele. Is there still someone that you haven't worked with that you're still hoping to work with at some point?
Oh yeah, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm working with them. I get a little bit
Yep.
too into my own world. Um, oh sure. I mean, there's guys even now I meet Bob Downey. Uh, for me, he's still young. He is young as a spirit,
Yeah.
but he's gone so far. God
Yeah.
bless him.
Yep.
And he's just so wonderful. And I knew him years ago. We were different areas, but I'm glad he's doing well. God bless him. And other people. I mean, I've met a lot of young people, and I thought I was there in that. I was young too. No, I was probably 10, 15, 20 years older than them. But I've worked with great men. Robert Duvall is still kicking. I haven't seen him in a while. He married my sister,
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
you know,
Awesome.
and they still talk. And he's got another great thing he does. With this other woman that's just incredible. Like Gail worked with him in development and film and great films. And this young lady, he wanted to be what is it? The Latin dancing. Well,
Salsa.
yeah, all that stuff. I can't remember the exact name, but that's how he got involved with this other woman who's incredibly supportive to him with production and stuff. I mean, he's not a kid anymore. But gosh, I know a lot of men who are in their 90s, full of spirit, late 80s, 90s, you know, and it's something I think you can learn how to do. You can learn, and I'm studying it more as I'm getting older. I took it for granted, but the process of um, just seeing the good side, no matter what. Keep it simple, they say. Um, Past is history, the future's a mystery. It's as good as it gets right now. And
Exactly. Exactly.
just that mature thing has to really be able to encompass everything and know when to let go. So I'm grateful to be able to talk to you, and I wish you really a lot of luck, but keep working, man. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And John, I can't thank you enough for joining the podcast and sharing. You're a wealth of knowledge. You're a wealth of knowledge, and with an amazing body of work. So excited and lucky and fortunate to be able to hear all these stories, and being able to walk through your journey through all these amazing pictures that you've been a part of. I just want to thank you again for making the time, and definitely want you to keep making some exciting projects, and hopefully we can bring you back for round two.
Thank you. You got kids here?
No kids.
Not yet?
Got
Well,
kids.
they'd be lucky. God bless you. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We'll talk soon, John. Thank you very much.
Ciao, Bill.
See you. Bye-bye.